I'm 30 years old. I've been doing graphic design for 10 years, and for about 4 of those years, I've been running my own design agency in the north of England. With that has come a lot of challenges. I have learned so much over the past decade of being a self-taught graphic designer who specializes in branding companies visually and strategically. So I thought, let's make a video going through some of the lessons that I've learned of being a graphic designer for 10 years and running an agency. The first lesson I learned really early on into running an agency, so hiring people, employing people, and doing large projects, is that you cannot be in creative mode when you're in survival mode. Minecraft meme here. I love what I think Paul Rand said, which is to be creative and to be a designer, you have to be in a constant state of play, of experimenting. And I feel like when I get stressed, or as a creative person, when I'm stressed about, I don't know, client work, stressed about future economical events, whatever's happening, that impedes on that playfulness. It can turn my job into more of an office job rather than having creative expression in what I do. When I'm designing brands, the hardest part isn't the logo design. It's about maintaining that sense of experimentation, that playfulness that we have, that we need to create logos and to create good work. So early on, especially in running an agency, I found that it can't look like a normal business to me. I need to be able to stop what I'm doing when I want to stop doing it. I need to be able to design when I feel really creative. So that could be at the dead of night. That could be, when I'm finished all of my other tasks and I feel like I've got this itch to design a font or to carry on with a client project. That's where the real work comes. And it's never when I feel stressed. So stress, working rigid hours, doing things that you don't want to do, not being in that sense of play will mean that you won't be as creative. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the way that I started design wasn't the normal way. I didn't start by going to university or even being good at design before I started. I literally wanted to just become a graphic designer, and I thought, freelance design, that sounds like a cool thing to do. I essentially just sat and learned for a few years instead of going to uni. My parents were nice enough to let me live in their house for 2 years to learn this, and I did. I read books, everything else. But the problem came when I started getting client work. I had to do all the administrative stuff, tax returns, client emails, proposals, wording things up correctly. I'm terrible at creatively writing things down or just even sending messages. That's the worst part of what I do. I can't do it. What I'm really good at is what I do. Design work. I love to explain what I've done and how I do it. 10 years ago, I got married to my wife, and it was a dream of mine and hers that we would work together, but it wasn't economically viable then. We couldn't afford it. But we decided at one point to take the plunge. Naomi would quit her old job and she would join me, and we would find clients. She would do all of the tax return stuff, all of the administrative roles and the negotiations, which I'm not bad at, but Naomi is amazingly good at. She took on that role, and what it meant was that I was able to do more of the things that I was good at, and Naomi was able to do more of the things that she was good at, which made sense for our company and our business. We decided that being together and partnering up was one of the key moments of our success as a design agency, but also as me as a designer. So if you're out there, freelance designer, and you don't have a partner, it doesn't have to be your wife. It could be your friend, it could be anyone else, but as long as someone that you know and trust, you can partner with, and that will elevate your position. You will both be just as invested in the success of what you do. There's one quote that I love, which is, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. And I think that's really important as a creative agency. You need people, the people around you, the small amount of people, or even the large amount of people. If they're invested with you, you will go far. I wish I hired someone earlier to do jobs for me. By that, I mean, if you understand where I came from, I was making content on YouTube just like this. I would film it, edit it, do client work. I would do it all. I was a one-man band for about 5 to 6 years. The problem with that is I burnt out very fast. The quality of YouTube content wasn't as high. The client work side, I would be working all day, 10-hour days, 10, 12-hour days sometimes, just to get the work done that I needed to do. The problem was that I didn't have anyone else that I could give this work to. I had to post YouTube content because it was part of my mission, which is to teach people what I do, but also it was a great way of showing my work to clients as well. So I had to do that. Hiring someone at first literally looked like outsourcing a video editor, and it was brilliant because when I film a video like this, Now I don't edit it most of the time. I just have to film the video and work with Cam, the editor, or any other editor that we work with to make sure it works really well and it resonates. The best part about that is that someone else is really invested in that video. I don't have to be as invested in the editing stage because my brain can only take up so much work. I can be going and doing my design work, and at the same time, I have a video editor. The issue that creatives have with hiring is, number one, they lose control. Hiring does not mean you have to lose control over what goes out and what is created. We have a style, and our editors have been brilliant at keeping that style and elevating our style of videos. They've been brilliant at storytelling, so much better than me. So if you're someone who's starting out, or if you're at that point now of, I'm really busy, I need to, hire someone to manage my online store, or I feel like I need to hire an administrator or a video editor or whoever, then that's a good time to start hiring. It's scary, but you'll profit in the long term. I can tell you that from a design agency point of view, and not just financially, but mentally, you'll be a lot happier with it. A big lesson I've learned over the years is to not monetize everything. It's so easy for creative people who make money from their creative hobbies to try and monetize everything they do. I play guitar. Cam, could you pass me my guitar? Look, this is my guitar. It's in the office, it shouldn't be here. This is my guitar, I love to play it. Bit out of tune there. But I know I could make money by creating guitar content. I know that, everything that I do could be shown online. Everything that I want to do creatively can be done. However, I've had to learn over time to make sure that I keep things away, not intentionally to try and not show people, but I've learned that my guitar playing, my painting, anything that I do creatively outside of work, I don't want it to touch that, because when I go home and I get that creative itch, I can't just go ahead and design logos because I've been doing that all day. I'll get into a creative rut. I like to just play guitar by myself, knowing that no one's ever gonna listen to it really. I can just do whatever I want on there. So if you're a designer and you're viewing work all day, find a hobby that does the opposite. Find a hobby like this, where you play guitar, where you do something with your ears. Find a different hobby that isn't attached to your income at all. I love fly fishing. That's something that I love to do, and it gets me out of the office. If you are anyone who's creative, go touch grass. Go outside, do something, find a hobby like fly fishing. I love it, we've got a great lake here. It stops me from thinking about work, it stops me checking my phone. It allows me to get into the middle of the water where no one can disturb me. I'm quite a recluse, and I can just be alone with my thoughts. And it sounds kind of cringy and motivational, speakerish, but there is some element to this that works. And what it is that you are fully switching off that part of your brain. Something that a lot of creative people I've spoken to struggle with is switching off. Now, I don't personally believe you can. I don't think you should. Switching off your brain isn't a good way of viewing not working. I think we just need to be into a different mode instead. And for me, when I'm not working, my mode looks like I go out and I find things to do that are healthy and beneficial to my life, that don't require work, that isn't attached to a metric, that isn't attached to anything that I'm working on other than maybe catching a few fish. So go outside, touch grass. One thing that every graphic designer or even creative professional needs is a website. It doesn't matter if you're big or small, get yourself a website. Recently, we've been working on our brand new one, and we've moved to a platform called Framer, who is sponsoring this video. Framer allows you as a graphic designer to not know any code, but to design websites like this. It's mind-blowing what you can do inside of Framer. More so than that, you can fully customize it to be whatever you want. You don't have to learn that much, and to be honest, they have some amazing tutorials on their website. And also, if you just want to take a template, you can go and find a community template that you can get for free, or there are paid versions of the template, and you can edit it from there, giving you a bit of a head start. These beautiful websites with all these animations and interactions that you're seeing were all created without code, perfect for graphic designers like me and you who aren't web developing wizards. I've been learning how to use Framer over the past few weeks, and I'm really excited to share a video soon about our new website once it's built. And I'm also excited to share some tutorials soon that will help you in your Framer journey for designing your first website. If you want to check them out for completely free and start building your website free today with no coding or anything, please click the link down below in the description. It helps me out and it keeps these videos going live to you. Thank you very much for sponsoring the video. Interesting fact, I actually wrote a book before I even read one, which is a weird thing. It was a calligraphy book. I'll link it down below. Reading is difficult for a lot of people. All the way through school, I struggled to read, and it's partly because I've got dyslexia, which inhibits ways that I read. It means that it takes me a bit longer to read something, but I class it as kind of a superpower for my work. It helps me see letters instead. Now, because of that, I didn't read any book for years until I picked up a book called The Institute because of the book cover, and it was by Stephen King, and the book cover was amazing. I read it, or I got halfway through, and I thought, you know, I'm actually reading this book. I'm in it. I'm not just reading it and then forgetting that whole page and then having to go back like 3 or 4 pages to get context again, because that's quite tiring for my brain. But I remember thinking, this book has really engrossed me and I can actually remember it. So I bought a Kindle. I played around with the different fonts in the Kindle, got the settings just right, and ever since I've been reading. The biggest thing, or the most pivotal point, I think, in my learning as a designer, as a business owner, as a 30-year-old dude who's just trying to make some cool stuff and work with great people, has been reading. The amount of knowledge that you can get for very little money through reading books and spending time is invaluable. If I could, I would go back and read a lot more and not just think, you know, reading's hard, I'm not going to do it. Because even if you take 10% or get 10% out of that book, off the 100% that's there, then you still got 10% more than you had last time of knowledge and things that you've learned. I think all the most creative people in the world are readers. I think the people that view things differently, that are in a state of play, that are in good places in their lives generally are people who read a lot. Comparison is a good thing in the design world, I believe. However, social media has sort of infected it. And by that, I mean social media now is having people look at the highlights of other people's lives and compare it to their own low times. The problem with that is that it gives us an unreal expectation of what our lives, our creative processes, our achievements should look like. And I'm probably part of the problem with this because I'm on YouTube. However, I've seen it drastically increase on Instagram. And this is no dissing anyone on Instagram who's a creative, but it's something that I've noticed recently. The videos on Instagram, the reels of people creating logos in a couple seconds, trying to show the whole process of designing a logo in less than a minute on a short form video, it's impossible, but the way they do it makes it so clean and it just looks great, it's satisfying. That can sometimes have a bad impact on people's view on how much time goes into creating a logo and how hard it actually can be. Social media doesn't always show that. And I feel like that is where comparison comes in. Comparison is a great thing for design. It allows us to compare one with the other. But when we compare between ourselves, for instance, you to me or I to you, that isn't good. Comparison can rob you of all joy, because if you're spending all your time comparing your skills with everyone else's, and they are all highly curated on Instagram and on social media, they're only showing you the good things, then you're gonna have a horrible time. You could be like the best designer on the planet and you're thinking, my work's bad. But in reality, it's probably really good. You're just comparing it to an unrealistic and impossible standard. Be careful when you're on social media. Don't compare yourself with other people on there. Compare your work with how it was a year ago. Something that I have found to work really well is whenever someone does something, so if they zig, we're gonna zag. When someone is creating content about a certain thing, you just do the opposite. You zag that. I don't think enough people realize the power of just doing something differently and how it can segment you in this market. What we do differently is create bespoke logo types and brands for companies, basically all hand-drawn and digitized. And just the way that we create content, we try to zag. We don't want to go with what everyone else is doing. Great things about this, you do something different and you segment yourself. The hard part about this is that sometimes you might not get it right every time. Don't just follow along with what everyone else is doing. Don't be afraid to be the guy who isn't following the crowd. Go left. I've learned this very early on, and I think it just goes to show that if you're someone who just has a unique skill set or has a unique idea, roll with it, because if you're one of the first to do it, or if you're just differentiating yourself, then it's just going to be a lot better for you in the future. Don't read the comments all the time. If you're posting content or work online, whether it's design, art related, you will always get the people in the comments that are nasty. And a lot of them now are to do with like AI, and they probably think that you design everything in AI if you've posted anything to do with AI. Don't read the comments, don't engage. Most of the time, people who leave nasty comments, and this is really a voice back to how I felt a few years ago, but anyone who leaves a nasty comment is probably having a bad day, and they're human too. And unfortunately, online, people, I think, forget that we are actually humans at the other end of the camera. We are real, we're not AI generated, we're not a video game, and we have feelings and emotions. But also, on the other side of that, I think we need to be realistic. We'll always be people who aren't very nice in the comments. So just don't read the comments. One thing that we all have in common is fear. We all have roughly the same fear, which is of failure. Now, you can either let that fear of failure keep you small, and a lot of people do. People are afraid of, expanding. People are afraid of doing something different, whether that's zig and zagging. Well, I've got a saying, the fear of failure is what drives our success. We are all afraid, and I think to some extent, that we don't want to fail in what we do, so we're all fearing that. And I think it's that fear that can be used as fuel to drive the success. Now, if you view it this way, I think, personally for me, it's helped. I don't know if this is helping anyone else, but I think viewing failure or the fear of it as like fuel helps me, because it puts context to why I feel like sometimes, if this client project doesn't work, or if this logo design looks terrible, what my YouTube audience is going to think. This fear actually helps me do better and helps me, I think, healthily get to where I want to be. Instead of letting fear consume you and leaving you stagnant, I think it can push you in a good way. Just like the fear of heights. People who are afraid of jumping out of a plane, the best way to cure that is by jumping out of the plane with the parachute on. So use your fear as fuel. So I'm 30 years old. Those are the 10 lessons that I could think of that helped me, or the 10 things that I wish I knew, or the 10 things that I could hopefully help you with today. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you later.